JC, take it away.
Okay, super. Welcome, everybody. My name is James Curry. I have the great pleasure to have Kit Hoffman, here. She's the founder of Seneca, an agency that helps executives and founders build and leverage their personal brands via LinkedIn content. So she definitely knows her product, the topic of today. And before I turn it over to her, I have a few housekeeping rules. So the library uses Zoom, but does not own Zoom. Zoom has its own privacy policy that my colleagues will shortly put on the chat link. Please read that section that refers to third-party library service providers to understand how you and the library uses this service. The chat is disabled for everybody that's attending except the panelists here. If you do have a question or comment, just actually put it in the Q&A. We'll get to those points during the program and at the tail end of today's event. Also, today's event will be recorded, a copy of the Canva presentation, and also the recording will be sent within 24 hours, most likely tomorrow morning when I get here around 8 or 9 o'clock. And closed captioning for those who need it is available. So without further ado, thanks so much, Kit, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, James. Thank you to New York Public Library for this opportunity. So freaking excited to be talking about LinkedIn of all topics today and how we can be leveraging this platform for new opportunities this year. So I was going to have people introduce themselves, but I found out that the chat was disabled. So we'll do maybe just a little async kind of stuff. We'll have to do some async introductions maybe afterwards on LinkedIn or via email afterwards. So I'll just start by a little introduction of myself. So once again, my name is Kit. I'm the founding principal of Seneca. I've been working on the LinkedIn platform for the last 6 years, which is such a funny little place to find myself. I got started working on that platform professionally 6 years ago when I worked with the executive communications team with Banco Santander. So I was writing with their executives, their LinkedIn content. So throughout my entire 6 years writing on the platform, learning about this platform, I built a relationship with LinkedIn. And with that, I've had one client get Top Voice, which is an invite-only program. And I currently have 2 other clients up for Top Voice contenders. So that really just signifies like you are somebody that's respected on the platform. You're somebody that's contributing meaningfully to the platform. And with that, we've gotten tens of millions of content views. In my professional time, I've also collaborated with leaders at Fortune 500 companies to unicorn startups. But as I was preparing for this conversation today, I really wanted to get rooted in what is the value of this platform for maybe just an employee, maybe a freelancer, maybe even myself as an agency owner and agency founder. What is the value for that? And not just somebody that is like at the top of their game, the top of the platform. So with that, we have the chat is disabled, but you're able to go in on the bottom and there should be something that says reactions. I just want to be able to gauge kind of who all is in the audience today. So if you are a freelancer, I'd love if you could just drop a heart just so I can kind of see. If you are an employee, if you are a job seeker, drop a little clap emoji just so I can kind of see who's all in here. And if you are maybe a C-suite, a founder, just drop a thumbs up. I'm not really seeing anything, so it's hard for me to kind of gauge. Maybe that's just a Zoom kind of a thing.
Okay, so actually we got a lot of hearts and we got a lot of thumbs and we got the other option too. So
oh, we got a good mix then. Okay, yeah, thank you for letting me know because I couldn't see that on my end.
Yeah, like a third, like.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Yep. All right. So again, my goal is really to give you actions to leverage your LinkedIn for new opportunities this year. And I think it's so coincidental that I was telling James we had set this up back in April, that today on Lunar New Year, so maybe you want to have a fresh start to your 2025 already. This just feels like such a perfect alignment to be thinking about that and just really pushing through kind of maybe some goals that you had set for yourself in January that you want to maybe start executing on for the rest of this year. So where I think people kind of get a little bit mixed up is that they think that LinkedIn is a social media platform when I really think that LinkedIn is just a tool. So again, this is your time today. So please take notes, drop any questions in the chat. So for the questions that we're going to be doing today, you can drop that into, I believe it's called the Q&A section. We'll have the moderators go through and pull some of those questions. And then I was going to say support others in the chat, but the chat isn't open for today. So we can kind of maybe have an async support afterwards, and I can kind of talk about how we can do that at the end of this. So throughout the session today, I'm going to be going through what I believe to be the 3 most important parts of leveraging your LinkedIn. And I'll kind of stop at those different parts and ask if there's any questions before we continue on. And then I have budgeted a little bit of time at the end. So if we have that extra time, then we can go through more group questions there. All right. So without further ado, I hate when people say this. It's such a cliche, but it's such, I think, a cliche for a reason, that your network is your net worth, because people really are the ones that give you these opportunities. So why I think that LinkedIn, there's just such an opportunity on that platform is because people approach this platform in a really bad way. I'm sure we've all seen messages similar to this, where it's you immediately connect with somebody and they're sending you like a hard sales pitch, or they're sending you an in-mail. So they're just sending you a cold DM just right off the bat. And it's so unrelated. They want to hop on a call with you. It's just really ugly and gross, and you want to hop off the platform. But I'd rather us just kind of take a step back, kind of clear the air, if you will. Imagine being at a networking event. How would you introduce yourself to somebody? Maybe you'd start off by saying, how's your night been? Or what do you do? Or just even as simple as, what is your name? Or where do you live in the city? Just these kind of surface level, we're all at the same event, but like, how do we kind of connect here? LinkedIn lets you actually cut corners in conversations because you already know their name. You don't have to ask them what their name is. You can see it on the profile, or you can see it right at the DM when they send it to you. You already know their connections. So you don't have to figure out what maybe social circles that they're in. You already know what connections that they have. They worked, you can see that they're one-to-one connected with this person that you met at some event a month ago, or you can see that they're connected with a former colleague of yours. You also know their job title. You don't have to ask, where do you work? What company do you work at? How long you've been working there? You can go back and you can see their current job title and their entire job history. And with that, you know their background. So again, their job history, you can see their education background, and then you can read a little bit about in their about section about themselves to get a little bit more context. LinkedIn gives you all that information so you can help cut corners in conversations and get to just straight up connecting. So this is, I would say, the best part, and what I wanted to spend the majority of this presentation on is connecting with people, because like I said, people are the ones that give you opportunities, and LinkedIn, I think, is the best tool to be able to strategically connect with like-minded people that can help you. And those people that can help you are either going to be friends, they can be mentors, they can be maybe business deals. You really don't know, but LinkedIn gives you the ability to connect with these people. So let's take a look here at this first message. So I said, Mika, I admire what you and your team at company are behind. My ghostwriting agency works with professional speakers and authors to expand their influence on LinkedIn. There's a huge opportunity for name the CEO plus key leaders here. Happy to serve as a resource, bounce ideas together. Kit. So I had found Mika because I was interested. I loved the work that her company has done, and I was familiar with the work and the speaking platform of her CEO. So I went to Mika's company's company page, and I found Mika. She is the decision maker, I could tell because of her title. She's the decision maker. And I wrote, this is a cold message. This is the first message that I sent Mika. And I had tailored it specifically to her. Why I made it relevant to why I wanted to meet her. The CEO is a speaker author, and I've helped other speakers and authors. This next one here. Pollyanna, I read your article on your website about how you became a Forbes contributor and really enjoyed it. I'm a senior in college working towards building a career as a ghostwriter content creator. I really valued your advice and insights into the industry. It would be great to connect. Why did that work? It worked because I had showed that I read her blog, and then I took that extra step to find her on LinkedIn. And why is it relevant? It's relevant because I was at the time building a career as a ghostwriter content creator, and she is also a ghostwriter content creator. Again, that was a first cold message that I sent somebody. This next one. Happy to have stopped by your profile. I'm an exec ghostwriter who loves amplifying my clients' stories to help shape cultural conversations. It looks like you've done a lot of visual storytelling in your career. It would be great to connect. So that first part there, stopped by your profile. That was a reference to his about section, which had said, thank you for stopping by my profile. And the connection. So why am I reaching out to him? I love amplifying client stories. He has done a lot of visual storytelling in his career as a videographer and a creative director. Again, that was a cold message. And these are the second messages that I got back from all of these people. So looking at David. So David is also has a massive following on Instagram. I had found him via his company's page, and I reached out to him on LinkedIn instead of Instagram, a platform that he would maybe have a lot more DMs, a lot more just interactions, and my message could just kind of get tossed to the side. This was his first message back to me just based on that personalized message. Let's chat. Thanks for reaching out. Can you share examples of your work? Would love if you can email me. Dropped his personal email. You have good timing. So David and I then had 32 email exchanges. We met up in real life in the city, and now he is one of my best friends. Pollyanna. So this is again, next message that she sent me. It's nice to meet you. Thanks for reading my post. Would you be interested in scheduling an intro call to get acquainted? 3 years later, she is now my mentor, friend. She is the reason I moved to New York City. She's a huge reason and influence in my life on how I have the career that I have today. And Mika, again, next message that I sent right after this. Hi, Kit. It's great to make your connection. I'd love to hear more about your past experience working with different speakers and expanding their thought leadership here on LinkedIn. We just connected last June. We're still connected. Nothing came of that, but who knows? And that's really where I think the most value of this platform comes from. It's the ability to be able to reach out and connect and make that very specialized and tailored. And you really don't know where a connection can go to. Again, David is one of my best friends in the city. Pollyanna has been such an influential mentor and influence on my life. And Mika, that could be a business connection. That could be a project that we work on. That could just be a great person that I can bounce ideas off of that understands and gets this industry and gets my space. So when you send a message, or I guess let's pause there. If you have any questions on messaging, why don't we maybe we have a couple more minutes on this section. Maybe we just have time for 1 or 2 questions if anybody has any specific questions there before we move on.
Okay. No questions yet, but sometimes with a bit of a lag, so.
Okay, well, I'll start here and then maybe we'll pause if there's any questions, but just keep in mind, if you do have any questions, feel free to drop that into the Q&A and I'd love to be able to help out there. So the next step, when you send a message, think about it. When somebody sends you a message and you're like, who the heck is this person? You're gonna read the message and then you maybe will go onto their profile and check out, who is this person? Why are they sending it to me? Maybe you're a little bit suspicious, like what are they trying to sell me? So when they go onto your profile, we got a question.
We have a lot of questions that came up.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do time. Ask and we shall receive. Well, I'll answer 2. Okay, this one is from, do I click answer live?
No, you can actually just talk.
Read it out loud? Okay,
yeah.
This one's from Jackson. Any tips on getting your message noticed? Do you pair it with a connection request? Do you use the premium LinkedIn in message feature? Okay, great question, Jackson. My strategy is all of those were tailored to the right allotment of characters for a connection request. So my goal with those first messages is just to let's connect and just be in each other's networks and then kind of go from there. My next, if they didn't reply to that message, I would maybe ask if they have the capacity for a 15-minute coffee chat call. That would be kind of what I wanted to do. I don't really like using the in-message feature because I'd rather just connect with somebody versus in-message. It's just a long message and I'd rather just be one-to-one connected. Like that's kind of why I see that as more of a social media kind of move in that way, or social media platform. And I think just by making it personalized, like I was saying, I read your blog and this is why it makes sense that we're connecting for this reason. Making it especially tailored to them. Like why am I connecting with you? Why would it make sense that we connect? That's how I've been able to get the most amount of attention versus just I see you work in the advertising industry. There's thousands, if not millions of people that work in advertising. Make it more specific. Why am I reaching out to you specifically? Maybe it was a campaign. Maybe it was a company that you worked at. Maybe it was an article that they wrote or an award that that company won. So make it unique and specific to them. Let me see. Okay, this one's from Christina. This is a great question. How do you connect with others in your industry who are further ahead? They often ignore my messages. I think, again, it goes back, Christina, to making it tailored to them. Why would they want to? What is, I guess, the goal of why you're reaching out? And maybe sometimes you don't want to be too forward or close the door to other times that you're to when you're reaching out to somebody. So, for example, if you're reaching out, you're saying, I want you to be my mentor, be my mentor. That's not how I approach that conversation as Pollyanna. She is a lot further ahead in her career than I am. I reached out and I just set the context. I am currently building a career in this. I really enjoyed this. So it shows that I did my homework. I know who you are, and I'm specifically reaching out to you for this reason. So if you're interested in connecting with somebody that is further ahead in your industry, why are you specifically interested in connecting with them? So that could be, again, looking at I saw that you did a career move. So your early career, you started here maybe in law, but then I saw 2 years after law, you actually pivoted into creative design. I'm currently in law and I'm considering a move into creative design. I'd love to hear about that. Even if that person is 10, 20, 50, 30 years ahead of you, by you making that very specific and saying that I'm having this challenge and I saw that you went through something similar and that is the reason I'm reaching out. I think that's how you can better connect with it. And then also know people will ignore your messages. People are busy. People don't go on LinkedIn all the time. It maybe is not a personal thing. It's just they might not have the capacity or just have seen it at that point. So we have more questions. I see. Thank you so much. Please keep dropping those in the chat. I'm going to move on just to make sure that we have time to cover everything that I want to cover today. And we'll get some more questions at the end. And if not, I'll have a way that we can all stay connected afterwards. So after somebody sees your message, the next thing that they're going to do is go in and look at your profile. And the goal of your profile is really just to set yourself up it's kind of that visual stamp of credibility, if you will. Like this, I'm legit. This isn't just some spammy thing coming in your inbox. I'm a professional and I'm trying to build myself up in this way. So the three things that I want to focus on here, because there are a lot of things that you can get distracted with at looking at your profile, is your background image, your headline, and your custom link. So a picture is worth 1,000 words. So let's start with the background image. Your background image, think about it as maybe your personal billboard. So I pulled out 6 examples that we can kind of just look at. This first one here, I thought it was just a fun, if you're maybe works if you're an employee at a company or you're maybe just starting your career, different ways that you can get people to engage in conversations with you. So these just have little conversation cards. So I thought that was a nice touch, especially if you're going to be reaching out and maybe having coffee chats. This next one I thought was really great if you are working at a company that has really great brand recognition or is just really well known, maybe in your city. Having that as your background is leveraging the credibility of the company. And right away, people know, oh, that person works for Google. Some other examples are maybe you do a lot of work in San Francisco, maybe you're a creative there, or you own if you're freelancing, for example, I worked with someone who owned a law firm, a freelancing law firm in New York. He didn't really have an office. There's no way he can kind of show his work. So he just was I'll just have a picture of the New York skyline and people know right away, oh, this person, I see law from the headline and I see New York right there. If you also maybe some thoughts, if you are a founder, if you're a thought leader, if you do a lot of in real life work, you can show the behind the scenes of your work. If you're a thought leader, maybe up on stage. If you're this person, it's doing a lot of video content work. Or if you're a founder, it's maybe you and your team all together. So right away they know, okay, this is what this person does for work. Next kind of examples here that you can think about is this is somebody that I liked. They are the social media director for Microsoft. They just pulled a viral tweet from Microsoft's channel and put it on there because that's what him and his team did. If you're maybe a creative, that's a graphic design that you're really proud of. If you're an ad, to me, that's a whole a sexy New York Times ad display, or it's maybe other campaigns or projects that you worked on that have more of that visual appeal. You can toss it on there. Or if you are somebody that does do a lot of public speaking and you want to build up that kind of public credibility, that's you on a stage, that's you on a panel, that's you on a TV or a recorded podcast. So just some things to kind of think about here for your own kind of professional positioning background image there. So a picture is worth 1,000 words, but words really, really still matter. The next piece I'm going to be looking at is the headline. And this comes at such a perfect time because I kid you not, last week I got reached out to by a potential new client. And I asked on the call to book a call with me, how did you hear about us? This person found me via a chat GPT search. This blew my mind. And I had to do homework on it because I was like, how did this person find me via chat GPT? So in my headline, I have executive ghostwriter, I have executive branding, I have personal branding, and I have executive visibility. I've used terms in my LinkedIn headline relevant to my industry, skills, roles, so that when recruiters or clients go to search, even if they're not going to be searching for Seneca, most likely. We don't have a massive brand recognition, but maybe if somebody's looking for a ghostwriter, my name will come up. If somebody is looking for some help in personal branding, my name will come up. And that is exactly what happened with ChatGPT. So kind of the technical side real quick, so that people can be looking on LinkedIn for that, but how this person found me via ChatGPT. LinkedIn is a high domain authority website. So what that means is any keywords that are on high domain authority websites, they're more likely to be pulled in by like a Google or a ChatGPT that uses that search engine optimization, that SEO, to pull that in. That's why if you were to Google your name, a lot of times your LinkedIn profile will be the first thing that pops up. And that's why if you sprinkle in keywords throughout your headline, that can help make your profile, I guess, jump onto ChatGPT as a return search. So if you're thinking about your headline, like how can I maybe like spruce that up? This is what I'd recommend for job seekers and freelancers. So even if you are seeking a job, you currently do not have a job in this, I'd still recommend having a job title for the job that you want to have, or maybe even the position that you held in the past. So that could look like software engineer, UX, UI designer. And if you're a freelancer, maybe that's a freelance copywriter, or even if you're an event planner, but in a freelance capacity, just saying event planner. And then next piece here is skill, or like a second skill that you have. So for example, going back to the software engineer, AI, MLM specialist, or Python and cloud dev, or user research, wireframing, and prototyping. Same thing with freelancers. Maybe somebody isn't looking for a freelance copywriter. They're searching for content strategy, but what they actually need is a copywriter, but they don't know that. They're just looking, they think that they're looking for a content strategist. So they're going to be using that keyword. Same thing with like event planner. Maybe they don't say event planner. Maybe they say wedding coordinator, but that is the exact same thing that you do. So thinking about, okay, who do I usually work with, or what skills do I have that somebody, a recruiter or a potential new client would be using to search either on LinkedIn or Google for. Now, moving on to employees, founders, and C-suites. So a similar idea, but a little structured a little bit different. So I'd recommend doing your job title that you currently hold, and then at the company that you have. You don't have to choose to do the at logo. I just did it for just for this presentation, but however you want to kind of frame that up there. Title at the company that you work with. So director of marketing at Target, and then maybe an alternative job title or an alternative job title / skill. So for example, a director of marketing at Target might also be an e-commerce growth specialist. However, that's not their formal job title that Target knows them under, but a headhunter might be looking for somebody that works at Target that has a growth specialist. They're a growth specialist. Or for example, the vice president of HR at Adobe, they might be searching for somebody that has a skill of employee engagement. So you want to have that in there, even though employee engagement is not an actual job title. Okay, before we move on to custom links, I know that that was a little bit heavier with the headline section. Does anyone have any questions? Maybe we have time for one question on the headline section. I'll go into the Q&A. Still looking for any questions that are relevant. I think I kind of answered the ones that are in here. So I'll move on. And if there's any at the end, I'll make sure to answer those. Okay, so custom links. So you saw on the bottom of my profile that there was it was click to or view my capabilities deck, and there was a link out. So you can have a custom link, so a link to different kind of pieces on your LinkedIn profile. And I think for certain people that makes a lot of sense. So for example, I have a capabilities deck that makes sense for me because I am an agency founder. That would also maybe make sense if you are a freelancer that has maybe a variety of skills or specialties that you want to be able to showcase kind of more of a breadth of what you're able to do. People can click through that presentation and see it. Same thing with maybe if you're an employee or a job seeker, this is maybe an easier way to show your professional expertise without going through and creating an entire personal or professional website or a big portfolio. The real job of this deck is really just to show these are my capabilities and this is what I can do. So that could be presenting services, that could be people with especially a portfolio career, a breadth of different kind of skills that they have. It could be maybe instead of doing, again, a website, a creative resume, creative projects, and then or a mini website if you are maybe more of an employee. Then looking at maybe the other link that you can have there is a personal website or your actual link to a portfolio. So that would look really great if you, again, are a freelancer that already has that. I would definitely link that there. If you're an employee or a job seeker that, again, already has that, I would recommend having that in there. So that could show all of your, again, creative projects. So link if you, especially I work with people that work in the ad world, showing their creative ad projects that have been somewhere, their breakdown or the case studies of those all. Developers, maybe showing some of the development projects that you've worked on, or if you are a personal brand business. So what do I mean by that? So any authors, speakers, podcasters, showing kind of your whole brand and the kind of orbit that you're in. You want to have that linked there because your LinkedIn is a big part of that. And now switching over to company websites. So again, freelancer, if you have a company website. So for example, my agency, it's me and a team. But before that, I still had like my company website on there before I decided to switch over to a capability stack, having that linked in there. If you were a founder, you're one of the biggest advocates for your company, have that linked in there. Or if you're an employee, specifically an employee that works in business development or sales, I'd recommend having your company website in your LinkedIn profile. And then again, newsletter, this is if you already have it, and I'd only recommend it for thought leaders. So somebody that's trying to expand their influence on that platform through written thought leadership, or C-suite, again, for the same reasons. But again, only if you have it, that's not a necessity. And if you're listening to me and you're like, Kit, like this does not apply to me at all, or I'm just good at my job. Like, do I need a link? No, you absolutely do not need a link. And if a link wouldn't help your profile, then don't put it in there. Any questions on links? We have a little bit of time. So maybe I'll look back through and see if there are any questions from the...
Where do you custom links? Where do the custom links appear in LinkedIn?
Yes, so I'll answer that one. Thank you, Anthony, for that question.
Yep.
So that they appear on the actual profile that you have. When you go in and edit your LinkedIn profile, it'll say add a custom link, and it'll be under your name, under your headline section. And so you can add the link to whatever external page you want to go to. And then you can go in and customize what that says. So for example, mine says, view my capabilities deck. I wrote that out there. I believe you have about 30 characters to fill that out. And then I have the link that goes to my Canva presentation deck. You can also, there's another setting that you can have in there that has a link that goes next. When you do a post on LinkedIn, there's a different setting on there. It'll be a link that goes right next to like your profile image on your name, but it will not be on your profile. It will only show up if you're posting it on a post on LinkedIn. And I can talk about that a little bit more if people have more questions on that at the end, but I want to make sure that we get through everything here.
Yep.
All right. So the next piece that we have here is the about section. So your about section is your professional story. So this then goes to answer why are you this unique professional? What makes you unique and special? What is your story? So what I think, these are something to reflect on. So you can feel free to screenshot this. Again, you'll be getting a recording of this and you'll be getting the actual deck from this presentation after this. But thinking about this is something for you to reflect on. And this isn't just a clear-cut, easy answer. Like these are hard topics for people to reflect on, but maybe that's taking some time this weekend to really think about that for yourself. What are maybe 3 stamps of credibility that you have? So thinking about on your entire career, what are some of the biggest client projects that I've worked on or client projects that were really exciting or really challenging or I learned a lot on? What are maybe teams that you led? If you led a team of 5, if you led a team of 15, what was that like? Or any awards or certificates. So in a project award that you worked on or your agency won an award and you were a part of that. What are maybe those 3 stamps of credibility that you have that you can pull from your career so far? And then next piece here, what are 3 things somebody should know about you? So this is your unique value proposition. This is what you bring to the table. And I'll touch on that. I think I'll show it a little bit better in the next example that I have over here. But what makes you you in a professional context? And now think about, this is something to reflect a little bit longer on. What is your professional through line? So think of this as your why or your guiding mission. So to maybe kind of illustrate that, my guiding mission, I have been an absolute lover of like business books, business nonfiction for as long as I can remember. And now I get to help business leaders that I used to look up to and admire help tell their stories. My why is I believe that business leaders can be that like massive influence and really can inspire change. That is my professional through line. And that's something that I found from reflection, but that's something that I try and bring out in my about section. But thinking about that for yourself, that should look very different for you because it's your professional through line. And now lastly, how did your career lead you to where you are today? This is your winding career history, your skills, the industries that you grew up in. So for example, to kind of maybe paint that a little bit for you, I started my career doing content marketing for destinations and tourism sites. So I used to sell the $1 million destinations, and now I tell clients I sell their $1 million ideas, the ideas that are changing the world versus the tourist destinations that we all know and love. So learning about the content that would tell those stories, telling the stories of those places that people would want to visit. Now we're telling the stories of the ideas that you have. That's been my kind of professional my professional story that arcs from early career to where I am today. Again, this is something to reflect on. These aren't just clear-cut ideas. So maybe take a little bit of time this weekend to think about those. And just real quick, little just about section checklist here, starting with a strong hook. So really getting people to read, wanting to engage into it. There's so many about sections that are just very bland, but if you just can write off the hook, say this is something different by starting a little bit different, that'll grab the reader in and have them actually want to read that. Writing in the first person, I hate when I read an about section, maybe that's just my own gripe, when it's written in the third person. Like, you wrote that. Like, don't act like your scribe wrote that for you. You wrote that right in the third person, or right in the first person. Sprinkle in keywords. So again, going back to the same thing we talked about, the headline, the importance of having keywords. The about section is another place that will help bolster your profile if you have those keywords in there. Ways to contact you. So maybe having an email at the bottom, maybe having your website at the bottom, adding in your personality. So not being afraid to really add a little bit of flavor, a little bit of zing in that. And then show, don't tell. So I'll have an example that I think will demonstrate that a little bit better on the other side. And then using line breaks to really have some like breathing room in there. So this is the example that I wanted to dive into and spend a little bit of time on. So there are 133,574 PR firms in the world. So if you are a founder of a PR firm, you have so much competition. You have 133,574 different PR firms. Why would somebody choose you? So looking at this about section here. So this is a lot to read here, but I'm just going to pull out what I think are the most important parts here. So we have the first bit here. So kicking off the new year with a little refresh of who I am and what I'm about. That, again, adds that personality and adds that hook right off the bat. I have yet to read a single about section other than this that starts that way. That tells me this is something different. I want to keep reading. I'm interested in what this has to say. This next section here. So this person goes on to say, and get ahead in parentheses without the BS. Again, another little personality zip in there. And then she goes on, her company, it has like a pun related to goalie and keeper. So she says, the keeper, if you can see the joke there, adding that personality, adding that flavor. This person shows that she's not afraid to kind of step up and be different. And therefore that helps reaffirm and kind of solidify like her agency also isn't afraid to step up and be different. This next piece here, so what I was talking about, making sure that you have ways for people to want to reach out to you. I think she did a great job at the end here. So reach out to chat to me about. This could, again, go back to the background profile image that we talked about, where it has those conversation cards. I thought this was a really smart, creative way that this person did that. She's almost extending a hand saying, we can talk about all these things if you're interested. And it almost makes it easier for somebody to want to reach out and they can have conversations on this because this person literally invited them to have conversations about it. And at the bottom, she says, shoot me a message or send me an email, and then drops your company email there. The next piece here that I thought was really great, this again shows her why, her kind of her through line on why she does what she does and what sets her apart. So this is her why and her positioning. Her agency is based in SF. So she's born and bred SF. That means this person knows that city so well. She maybe cares about that city so much, and she understands the different changes that that city has done. She said all that just in that phrase there. And then she goes on to say here, supporting the community that has raised me. That means that especially if you are a company that's in SF, this woman cares about that. She's a part of that community. She's therefore invested in you. And then the second part here that goes and solidifies that, see my fingerprints on my beloved city. So again, reaffirming that in here. Why? Because she wants to be a part of making an impact in the city that has raised her. And that's kind of her professional through line. And that's really what sets her agency up against the whatever it was, 133,574 other PR agencies in the world. Why you would pick her and her over other people. And then this last part in here, credibility. So why are you trusting her? You're trusting her because she has built another large PR firm in Silicon Valley with Web2. And she's worked with some pretty big clients, Mint.com, Intuit, eBay, PayPal, and then highlight another little bit there, arguably already low tolerance, which is another little flavoring that I love to see. Any questions? I know I went kind of fast on the about section, and the about section really is just so unique and so personal to you. But if we have a little bit of time for some more questions, maybe specifically in the about section that I can help kind of answer. And if not, then we have time at the end that I can go over.
We have one from Brandy. You see that at the tail end?
I see that. Okay, great question, Brandy. Okay. You said block the keywords at the end of the about section. Does that mean to hashtag keywords at the end? I would say I've seen people do this where it's just like how I did at the headline section, where I kind of like had used the line that separates it. I've seen people do that at the bottom of their about section. And I think that that's a way that you can do it to kind of optimize it a bit more, or again, sprinkling it in throughout organically in the about section. But I think you can have a line of maybe 10 keywords and just kind of like space them all out at the bottom. Any other questions on the about section?
I think that's about it.
About it.
Yeah.
Oh, we have one run it here. So I'll take this from Catherine.
Yep. Okay.
So for those of us who have had less traditional career paths, i.e. multiple career industry changes that might be more difficult or easily summarize or explain in a few sentences and are currently job searching, is it best to really try to summarize / find a through line anyway, or to focus on the pieces of our career journey that have more to do with what we're currently looking for? So I would definitely say focus on where you're going and what skills that next step might want, or that path that might be relevant. So for example, when I had shared my through line was used to be doing content marketing for destination marketing, there was so much that went into that is so irrelevant to what I do today. But I just pulled out marketing, learning how to market and talk and storytell those destinations connects to storytelling to what I'm doing today. It was easier for me to bridge kind of that gap because I'm here now and I can see that. So for you as somebody that is job seeking, it will be a little bit harder to like see that through line because you're not all the way through there yet. So I'd really recommend thinking about what are maybe the skills or the person that the positions that I'm looking for would want to see in somebody. So maybe that's not necessarily a colorful through line, but maybe that's I've led a team of 10 or I've delivered these kinds of results in this industry. And if you're maybe moving industries, but those results maybe still matter, still connecting it to show I worked here, but this is how this is still relevant to over here. Let me know if you have any questions. And again, we can answer that at the end of this.
Yeah, Catherine just clarified a question. So if you see that.
Yeah, I think that she says the part about the why do you do your career. No, I think it was clear. So okay, if that wasn't clear at the end, then we can clear that up at the end of this.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So this next bit is content. And this is something that I get asked a lot about because I think that there's just this misconception. Well, I think it's not a misconception. LinkedIn is positioning itself as a social media platform, but I really do see it as more of a tool than it is a social media platform. And because it looks a lot like a social media platform, there's a full feed, people are posting on it. People assume that if I want to use LinkedIn, I have to post. And I think, yes, you should post, but I do not think you have to post to get the most out of this platform. So I'll use that to kind of, and so, like I said, yes, you should post. It really looks different based on your goals. So focus on what matters, especially on any social media platform. I feel like there's been so many conversations on focus on yourself. Don't get distracted or get pulled into what other people are doing or saying or their own whatever content creation journey. And I feel like that's not seen or talked about as much on LinkedIn. So for example, I wanted to pull out Mel Robbins for this kind of to highlight this example. She has over 800,000 followers on this platform. She's a big business thought leader. She's one of the top podcasts, well-published author. People assume followers equals a successful personal brand. And for Mel Robbins, a lot of followers is a successful personal brand because she has different goals than what most people have. So we also have to think about Mel has a team of 30 plus people helping her create this content to be able to get that many followers. She has people helping her with her podcast, which are driving to all her other social media channels. She has a weekly newsletter, which then links back to her LinkedIn. She posts multiple times a day on LinkedIn. And that's because her goals on this platform are different. Mel's goals, she has to get in front of a lot of people because she's selling a $30 book or she's selling podcast sponsors that require having a large audience. If you are selling a $30 book, you have to sell a lot of books to make money and especially pay for a 30-person team. Just because you do not have 800,000 followers does not mean your personal brand isn't effective or isn't successful. Again, it's going back to the connections that you're building and the relationships that you're building on that platform. It has nothing to do with these vanity metrics. So then what does posting look like, or what can posting look like? So my personal belief is that posting is really just keeping touch with your professional audience. So think about you're at a networking event, maybe in person or virtual, or even just connecting, sending those messages to somebody on LinkedIn. You're connecting, and then a lot of times those LinkedIn connections just kind of go away. We don't really see them again. I mean, we're all busy. The city is huge. You don't see them, but your content can be a way to still keep a pulse on those connections. Even if you aren't directly reaching out, your content is that, hey, remember I'm still here, or just let's keep top of mind, or this was something that was like interesting. And then that keeps you in front of your network's mind. And again, your network, hate to say it, can be your net worth. So your post quality, more often than not, is better than quantity. So when I tell my clients, I tell them it's whatever you can post that you can keep at like a good cadence. So maybe that's one time a week, maybe it's 3 times a week, maybe that's only 2 times a month. Whatever you can consistently do, that's what you should be doing, because that just helps keep you top of mind and keeping that quality over the quantity. You'd want somebody to, if you're going to keep somebody top of mind, you want them to think of you when they think of you in a positive way and not that person's LinkedIn post again. You want them to be like, oh, that was really smart, or I wonder what that person's up to, or that was a good point. I haven't talked to them in a while. Maybe I'll reach out to them. You'd want to have your posts, have them think of you as either neutral or ideally positive. Another thing that you want to think about for your LinkedIn posts is sprinkling in keywords. So again, this goes back to that SEO. If you have little sprinkles of keywords in there, again, don't force it in there. But a lot of times my content is about personal branding. I'll make sure to actually say personal branding versus some other fancy buzzword. I'm just going to say it straight up, personal branding. And that helps me kind of return higher in search. And then adding supporting images. So something I've seen across the line with all my clients, if you have an image, usually if it's like a vertical image, that does better. It just takes up more of that. If we're thinking more on a technical side, more space on the feed, it can help kind of supplement a post to give it a little bit more flavor, a little bit more zest. And again, focus on what matters. Don't be doing a post just to be doing a post. Don't be just trying to get likes to get likes. Likes likes don't lead to checks, likes don't lead to relationships, likes don't lead to a lot, but the connections and the ideas behind them do. So some ideas for you freelancers. So again, this is really to maybe help you find clients or stay top of mind, stay top of mind. So maybe that's sharing work or client wins that you've done. So work you're really proud of, client wins. So this client got, I don't know, however many content views, or they're able to get this many more clicks to their website. That could look like educational content. So if you are, let's say, a professional headshot photographer, that could look like this is what you should be wearing to your professional headshot, or this is what my clients do to help prepare and like get themselves the most excited and confident before that. Or if you are maybe a videographer and you do a lot of video shoots, maybe that's a behind the scenes. Like today we were shooting with this client down in Times Square, and like look at behind the scenes, just a little sneak peek into your life. Or a case study that could be looking like, we did this SEO revamp on this client's website, and look, this is the clicks before and this is the clicks after, and this is what we did on that website to make us get these results. Now for employees, job seekers, and C-suites, again, your posts are to help you stay top of mind. They're helping to position you. So again, like helping kind of shape what somebody thinks about you. And then that could also be, especially if you are an employee or especially C-suite, employer branding. So employer branding could just be helping build the credibility of the company that you work for to get top talent, for example. So this could look like thought leadership. So that could be posting, I'm seeing this trend in my industry, and these are kind of my thoughts on it. Or this report came out that's really related to my industry, and these are kind of my insights that I pulled out from that report. This could also look like professional updates. So maybe that's you and your team are doing a lunch and you're just kind of doing an update there, or you just got promoted and talking about this promotion that you got. That could look like events, conferences, and chats that you've had. So if you did a coffee chat with somebody that's in your industry, so saying, me and X met up for coffee, it was really great catching up, we chatted on this, this, and this. Or if you're going to events and conferences, saying, I'm going to South by Southwest this year, I'm going to be maybe speaking on the stage, or if you're going to be there, let me know, like, let's meet up for coffee at this conference. And then another thing, any work or projects that you've done, especially if you're really proud of them. So if you have a big campaign that you just finished, especially if you have amazing images or graphics, posting and sharing that on there, or any client work that you just are proud of and can share publicly, sharing that on there and having that kind of be celebrated on your platform. And now this is for my founders. So again, founders, you are often the ones that are promoting your company. You are the face of your company, for better or for worse. So you have to be out there promoting your company. And so that's, your content can help promote your company. It can help leverage your position. So if you're thinking as a founder, I'm building this right now, your company, a lot of times, especially if you're a founder, helps you leverage for maybe another company or a C-suite position at a higher up kind of company. Your company in a lot of ways can help you leverage to higher things. And then staying top of mind. Maybe that person that's in your network isn't interested in your products or services today, but maybe they know somebody who is, or maybe they aren't ready today, but 9 months later they are. So what this can kind of look like for you founders, again, thought leadership. So if you are working, let's say, in the SaaS space, you want to be saying, I'm seeing this trend happening in this tech space, or I'm seeing that a lot of different SaaS products are doing X, Y, and Z, but we're doing this for this other reason, and kind of sharing that in there, kind of illuminating your own thoughts around your company and what's going on in your industry. Next kind of piece is you're the ones that are sharing your company mission, value, and milestones, as well as your own mission, value, and milestones. So that could be, we just raised our Series A. This is so great. Or we're looking to hire somebody that has X, Y, Z values. Or we really believe in like the hybrid work model, and we're doing this kind of split thing. So sharing and illuminating and telling, again, the company vision, values, and milestones through your own content. Media hits, especially if you're working for a PR agency, those people are expensive. Make sure you're sharing those hits and sharing those wins. The clients that I've worked with where we share company messages, so the exact same message a company channel would be sharing through a founder, we see that they get 4 times the amount of impressions. So if you were a founder, anytime you get media hits, make sure you're sharing it on there, because you can get 4 times the amount of impressions and you're going to get more bang for your buck there. And then product service updates, wins, again, case studies. So if you have a SaaS product and you just launched a new kind of update, making sure you're talking about that to your network, that tells them that we're always iterating, we're doing improvements, we're listening to our clients, we're pushing more value out to our clients. Any wins that you have or any case studies for clients. So for example, like this client saw this same kind of thing with a freelancer. This client was here and now this client's here, or this is how we took this client from here to here. You're the founder and you're going to be promoting your own company. So making sure you're doing that for yourself and your own company. And to recap, so LinkedIn is, again, just a tool. It's really about how you use it. So it's really making those meaningful professional connections. Again, going back to the messaging, those messages can be such a life-changing. They can be friendships, they can be mentorships, they can be professional connections. Who knows? It really does just start with a connection. The next piece is establishing and increasing your credibility. So that can look like just from zhuzhing up your profile, making sure that you look like the professional that you are online. And then through content, helping you stay top of mind with your network. So keeping those connections, those investments that you either had when you went to that networking event or took that in-person coffee chat or that Zoom call or reached out in that connection, having them stay top of mind so that connection and that opportunity isn't wasted. And you are the one using the tool, which I think is the most important thing to think here. You get to choose how does this align for what I'm trying to do? What is the most exciting for me? Who do I want to connect with? And LinkedIn lets you do all of that based on just the tools and the capabilities that this platform has. All right. So I astonishingly stayed right on time. So we do have some time here for some questions. So please, 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 anything could be any part of the presentation. This is, again, your time. Love to help in any way. So please drop those in the Q&A part. That should be, I believe, on the bottom section for everyone here.
Okay, we have a lot of questions from legacy ones. So I'm not sure if you want to address any, because we have so many.
We do have a lot. I'm going to look at this one from Nancy, who was talking more about content. So it says, should you also share personal things, Christmas, holidays with family? So this, I think it goes back to your why are you on the platform? So if you're going to be sharing something that's Christmas, a holiday, or just a family moment, those are going to get a lot more engagement because everyone can relate to family, everyone can relate to holidays. Those will get a lot of engagement, but what does that engagement mean? That engagement doesn't really help bolster your professional credibility. It can maybe say, I'm also a parent or I'm also celebrating this, but it doesn't really, in my opinion, doesn't add anything to your professional presence. You can definitely share those things. I always tell my clients I recommend them not sharing that all the time because again, likes don't pay the bills, likes don't get you opportunities. This one comes from Mary Beth. When looking for a new job, how should you go about asking for job leads? When in conversation, is it good to ask about job leads? So I'm not the best person to be asking specifically about job hunting. However, I think it would be valuable to reach out to people in your network that you already have a relationship with. So leaning on the network that you already have, you've already invested in, that already are invested in you, and just saying, I'm looking for this kind of a role, or especially if you go onto LinkedIn, so a company that you want to apply for a job, seeing who currently works there. You never know from college who is currently working where, or from a networking event if you had met somebody, or that friend's roommate from college or whatever happens to work there. Reaching out to them and saying, hey, I see that you're working at Google, let's say. I'm looking to apply for this role. I'd love to ask, I see you're in a similar role, or I see you're at Google. I'd love to maybe ask about the company culture, just again, those company networking chats. And then seeing, again, a lot of companies can do internal like referrals. So seeing if you can kind of get your foot in the door that way. I know that it's so tricky and hard, but just leaning, again, I think it's really leaning on the current network that you have, telling people that you're interested in these kinds of roles, and just trying to open doors and start conversations that way.
Very good. And as a side reference, we actually have a slew of databases, 14 of them that are actually centric towards employment. So if you have any questions, you can just send me an email. You'll have my email address tomorrow when I send it to everyone. So
That was awesome.
And
Eh,
YSA's great presentation, which I fully
Thank
agree
you.
with. So,
Thank you. I'll answer this one from Mira. So how about posting content related to your development and success as a founder of a non-professional organization such as an ethnic theater? That one's a little bit specific. So I think that'd be hard for me to maybe answer without some more context. I'll kind of just drop over here in my presentation. So before anyone just kind of hops off, let's definitely get connected and definitely reach out. And if you have any specific questions, feel free to reach out and talk to me specifically. Looking maybe to do some like in-person stuff, especially here in New York. I think a lot of us on this presentation today are in New York. So definitely reach out to me if you'd be interested in learning maybe a little bit deeper on LinkedIn. I did not even have time to go into my favorite little nook and cranny of LinkedIn, which is Sales Navigator. So that's something that maybe if there's interest, if people reach out, I can maybe do another little session over LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And maybe Mira, if you have any specific questions, because that I maybe would need a little bit more context to be able to like answer that.
and on top of that, you can actually come back and do another program for us.
That would be great. I'd love to come back
Yeah.
and talk
So,
about LinkedIn all day. I'm scrolling back through the questions to see if there's any that we'd missed from other. Oh, Kiki had asked, can you please show us an example of a capability set? Kiki, no self promo here, but if you go onto my LinkedIn, which you can find right here, you can look at my capabilities deck. That capabilities deck has landed me sales meetings without me having to do anything. People either find me from search, apparently ChatGPT, they'll click through that and they'll book a call with me at the end. So that's something that I kind of just created myself, but has worked really well for me. So that could be maybe a framework that you can look at for reference for that.
and because of LinkedIn, we're here today. That's how we
And
connected.
because of LinkedIn, we're here today. Yeah, which
Yeah.
is insane too.
Yep.
Edgar, do you recommend to copy and paste what you already have in your professional experience on your resume to LinkedIn? I think it really depends because I know your resume can be really tailored to who you're applying, what you're applying to. I don't do a lot of like experience section writing for people. That's maybe somebody that's has more of that specialty and expertise. I'd really honestly look into leveraging a tool like ChatGPT and maybe having your resume and dropping in I'm looking for jobs. For example, if I were to prompt ChatGPT, I would do something like, I'm looking to get a job in software development. I'm not, but let's just say I am. And this is your resume. And then you'll just have currently what you already have in your resume. I'll maybe have the bullet points out. Let me know if there's any data that'd be helpful to have in on my resume that you don't have or different kind of data points. And I'm looking to add that into my experience section on LinkedIn. That was such a hodgepodge, like thrown together like prompt, but clean it up a little bit, something around there. And ChatGPT, I think, can help you like write out a really good experience section part because the experience section again adds into the keywords. And especially if recruiters or headhunters are looking for you, they might flip through there. So I'd recommend kind of like bolstering that up, especially if you already have like a massive asset that has so much of your professional experience, like a resume. Catherine, so I kind of answered that there too. So I have the capability stack linked in my LinkedIn. Let's look for one more question while we still have the time. This one from Ray. Any suggestions on listing a career break on my experience? I added career break in the experience section. I have been on a career break / sabbatical for over 2 years now. I don't want it to be my current status. So I added some consulting that I'm doing now. I'm not the best, again, I'm not like a career expert person here, and I don't have like a recruiting background side. I think that if you, that's just honest on what you have from your career and what you're doing. I think that you can add in and talk about what you're doing on your career break sabbatical. I know from the work that I have done with recruiters, so I've worked on like helping recruiters like promote themselves. They have said, or their thought leadership is that your career break can really be a story if you let it be a story. But I think that I would lean into saying during my career break or sabbatical, I traveled here, here, and here, or I took that time to care for a loved one that was sick, or I decided I really wanted to go all in on this hobby and I really wanted to pursue that. I think that a career break can really be a great opportunity and skill time, or even just we're all human, like we need that time away from our job or we're pulled into another job that is caregiving. And so I think explaining that and just adding some context there can be helpful.
Okay, super. So I just want to say, Kit, thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. You were great today, and thanks for my colleagues in the background. Obviously, a lot of people couldn't make it today because it's during work day, work hours. So the people that are listening to this on the recording, thank you for putting your name down to register for this. Definitely appreciate it. We'll definitely have Kit back again later this year or early next year if she's willing and able.
I would love to.
There you go. And I'll turn it over to you and you can say everything. So.
Yeah, well, thank you, James. Thank you for everyone that was here. Again, please feel free to connect with me. Please feel free also to reach out directly again. Would love to do maybe a session on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, that little fun nook and cranny, and maybe just a meetup in New York. So if that's of interest to you, or if you have any other LinkedIn questions, let me know and maybe we can put something together there.
Absolutely. So Kit, thank you so much. The audience, thank you for tuning in today, and wish everybody happy Lunar Year, happy New Year, and happy day.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Cheerio. Bye.